Hello, good evening, and welcome to That's the Spirit, episode 6 with myself, Julian Jenkins. It's promising to be another action-packed hour of spiritualness, and we're going to be mixing mindfulness with spirituality this evening because we have an absolutely wonderful guest, Rachel Louise John, who I've been speaking to all day, and we've got on like a house on fire. So it's going to be a great show indeed. Thank you for joining me again. It's truly blessed to see so many people coming in already, and I'm going to give a few mentions before we even start. Hello, Teresa. How are you? How's Australia? I know you're down there. I'm seeing some of the amazing stuff you're doing, the meditation, etc. So keep that up. It's absolutely fantastic. Maria Nation, how are you? Hope everything is good. It's an interactive show. We keep going. So please, if you want to pop your comments in, say hello, or get your questions ready for Rachel a little bit later on, that'll be fantastic. Good evening, Zed, our friend from Merseyside, who's just had a French polisher do his table for his spiritual meditation and his guidance and his reading. Zed, your table looks amazing, my friend. So congratulations on that. Teresa, it's very wet in Australia. It's not very dry here in Cardiff, so don't worry about that. I think we had our last of our summer yesterday, so the weather is not great here. I'm going to run through the show this evening if I can. At 9 o'clock, it is the welcome, so I'm welcoming you. I'm going to welcome Rachel, and as I said, if you want to put your comments, your posts and everything in the comment section, we'll get you up. At 9:05, we're going to go for the main feature this evening, and we've got a whole lot of mindfulness going on with Rachel Louise John. That's going to go on until about 9:35. And if you can then post your questions in the questions and answer session in the comments, that will be grand, and we'll interactively get you involved. At 9:45, we're going to move on to the guided meditation. And I'm going to have that channeled this evening. So that's going to be something, hopefully, which will be a little bit different and very strong indeed. I know you enjoy the guided meditation. And then we're going to finish up with a one card reading or a card of the week we may do for this year. I know it's kind of difficult because it's Thursday already. So you've pretty much had a long week anyway. So I don't know whether some of you joined in with the open circle we had on Tuesday night, which was hugely fantastic. Just to say thank you to everybody for their support and help and encouragement over the last couple of weeks. This show now really is building out. And when we strip out the interview and put it into a podcast, we're getting a few hundred people listening to the podcast. And over the period of time, within 2 weeks, we're getting over 2,000 or 3,000 people watching this show, which is absolutely unreal. And we're blessed. Anne-Marie, how are you? You okay? Good to see you. Good to see you. So if you want to pop in where you're from and where you're watching and what you're up to, that'll be grand. But I want to keep on time. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome a lady that I've got to know over on the internet, and I was doing some research. As some of you may know, I'm sort of linking a lot of my spirituality and spiritualism and my meditation and the way I connect with spirit into mindfulness. And mindfulness, and in particular, mindfulness-based stress reduction was huge for me when my father passed 10 years ago. And it was a lifesaver. It really did change my way of thinking, and it allowed me to breathe. Okay. And at times when you are grieving, or if you're sad, you're upset, depressed, or anxious, sometimes breathing can be difficult. And as we all know, breathing is quite important. Okay. So we're going to go through some mindfulness. And when I was looking for that, I came across a wonderful lady, and I did some reading what she was doing and how she was doing things. And it was just unreal. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to send her a message, because mindfulness is very much on the tip of my tongue at the moment. And the lovely lady decided that she would like to come on, but she would like to have a conversation first. And she sent me this beautiful biography, and it was amazing. And what was even more amazing, it was when I was laying in bed reading it, this lady probably lives less than 20 miles from where I am. She's based in Cardiff. So I've looked all over the world, and I come home. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Rachel. She's an accredited meditation and mindfulness teacher who's trained with the British School of Meditation and Mindfulness Association, based at the Cardiff Tibetan Buddhist and Mindfulness Center. So I'm going to now, by the wonders of modern technology, look to introduce to you tonight's show guest, Rachel Louise John. Rachel, how are you?
Hi, Julian. I'm great, thanks. How are you? Thanks for
Very
having
well,
me.
very well indeed. We've already had probably about 4 shows worth of content in terms of the conversations we had, and it's been unbelievable. And as I said, I can't believe we live probably less than 20 miles away. And when I read your bio, I was like, can you believe this? Okay, it was just absolutely fantastic. So it was great to find you, but also it was great to listen to your story, and in particular, the way in which you have found meditation, and how it's led, and how it's your life, you've sort of come in and come out of it, but now it really is a big part of you. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, and where meditation started from, because it's a beautiful story.
Okay, yeah. So when I was very young, my grandmother was a spiritualist, actually. She used to go to church and she did yoga and she meditated and she read the cards, but she read playing cards as tarot cards. And she used to sit and teach me all of these things. And we used to meditate together and do yoga. Hello, Zed. But I didn't really know what we were doing. I was just having fun with Granny and enjoying myself. But as I got older and I got more interested and my interest was piqued, I started to explore for myself. And I actually got into trouble with her one day because I'd read a lot of books and done some exploration myself and decided to do automatic writing and try and connect. And then I went to her, my 14-year-old self, saying that I'd managed to get a message, and she went absolutely up the wall and told me that I didn't know what I was doing and I didn't know what I was doing with meditation and I needed to study, and so she scared the bejesus out of me. But I rediscovered meditation when I moved to Brighton. I was an air hostess and it was a very stressful job. It was long hours, and I found a centre there and I had some incredible experiences there. I've had some incredible experiences with my spirituality over time as well, but I reconnected with meditation and mindfulness there. And I met a chap who was a Nichiren Buddhist who taught me how to chant. So that's where it began. And then I dipped in and out. And then unfortunately, when I was 30, I was raped. So it's holds no power now. I can say it out loud, but it really, really messed with my life for a good 8, 9 years. And I went back to meditation then when I went to see a counsellor, and she just happened to teach or use mindfulness-based stress reduction. And as I was having sessions with her, I realised how much I'd missed it. So I decided to go back myself. That's when I started training. I did year-long compassion, year-long mindfulness training. I worked with the British School of Meditation and got my practitioners training, teacher training there. And I never stopped. And then while that was happening, while I was training with the Samye Ling Foundation, I had some unusual experiences, and I spoke to the teacher about it. And I call them my tells now, is when I know I'm connecting and I'm channeling. I was getting this kind of padding sensation in my hands, and I was getting strange feelings in my body. And she very matter-of-factly said, oh, yeah, we had a healer here before, and that's what happened to her. And they were extremely matter of fact about it. So then I started to explore myself, and meditation has just enhanced that gift. It's enhanced everything.
I'm glad you spoke about it in that way, and congratulations, because I know through your life you've had some challenges, and you've come out the other side of it stronger and wiser for it. And I think for me, when you talk about mindfulness, I speak about it because it allows us. When we spoke about this earlier on, I think it's important for us, if we want to connect with spirit, we have to connect with ourselves.
Yes.
Okay, and that first connection is with self. And being able to use mindfulness and that type of meditation to connect with ourselves and be with our breath is key to going forward, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely. Because what we tend to do a lot in life is we disassociate from ourselves completely. We are rushing around all the time. We're forever stressed. We're doing, in a constant state of doing, and we forget how to be. We forget how to be still. We forget how to be vulnerable with ourselves. And we actually forget who we are a lot of the time. And what mindfulness does is it allows you to reconnect. It allows you to make space in your life. And breathing is so important, not just from a calming point of view, but physiologically it changes you. And yes, you create this huge space and you can reconnect with who you are. Really, you find yourself again almost.
We spoke about the scientific aspects of it, and you've just come across it a bit there with you know, meditation isn't just about creating space to allow spirit to fill and connect to spirit, which is, you know, some of the functions I use it for. I actually use mindfulness quite a bit. I gotta be honest, I should use it more. I should get into a daily routine when I have, even if it's 5-10 minutes of just being with my breath or whatever the scenario is. I do a body scan every now and then, you know, trying to reconnect with myself even more. But, you know, it is important, mindfulness. Can you tell us a little bit about, because we're using the word mindfulness, but some people may not actually understand what that is. Can you tell us a little bit about mindfulness and the form of meditation that exists within that?
Yeah. Well, meditation is a one-pointed focused attention and awareness on something without judgment. So you hold no judgment and you don't hold attachment. And with mindfulness, you have a support that allows you to bring yourself back to the present moment. So breath is one of the supports that you use to stop your mind from wandering. So it is definitely a discipline and a training. And you use the breath to keep you in the present moment. So if your mind starts to wander, you recognize that the thought is there. You don't try and push it out. You don't try and resist it. You don't try and hold on to it and grasp it. You just say, okay, I know that thought is there. I'm going to come back to my breath. And then you train your mind, you discipline your mind to be more still. So breath is one of the first supports. And then you mentioned the body scan. So we use the body scan as a present moment anchor as well. That brings you back to the present moment, but it also reconnects you with your body. Because like I said, well, in my case, I completely disassociated from my body. So it allows people to reconnect with their bodies. And also, if you are stressed or anxious, you tend to breathe a lot from your chest. If you're having a panic attack, you breathe from your chest. So you take the breath deep, deep, deep down into your body, and then you start to notice different sensations in your body. And this actually helps with spirituality, I think, and channeling, connecting, as you start to recognize almost things that don't belong to your body, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Your own sensations and sensations that are being channeled. And then you can use sound as a support as well. But you're always bringing your mind back to that one support. So you're training it all the time. So you're never completely emptying it, but you are putting it into a less stressful state, and you're taking yourself away from autopilot and unconscious behavior and moving into a more conscious place of being. Does that make sense?
It was yeah, it makes perfect sense to me, and I hope that if people don't understand what mindfulness is, that'll give them an insight into it. I remember when I sort of first touched it, and a gentleman called John Kabat-Zinn, I watched some of his videos, and you know, he's specifically talking about MBSR, and I think one of the things that really resonated with me at the time, and I've said this a few times, is that we're either dissecting the past or we're worrying about the future. And the reality of the situation is we're never in the moment.
Yeah.
And it was a great line. And I thought it was brilliant when he said, when somebody asks me what the time is, I tell them it's now.
Yeah.
And that to me was just a wonderful, wonderful answer to a question. And it is about trying to find that space, that you know, breathing and just relaxing, and I felt that it hugely helped me. And when I went away for a week and I was being taught different ways of connecting with self and with spirit, it just all seemed to fall into place that mindfulness really could underpin the way I connect with myself, but also the way I can connect spiritually. Can you give us an example of, you know, when you've used mindfulness and all of a sudden, you know, you've had a spiritual awakening or something spiritually has happened to you?
Are you referring to that story?
Yes, or sort of, but you know, yeah, but it's, you know, for us, it is a bit, you know, there has been some awakenings in your life, isn't there? If that's the right way to say it.
There's been a few awakenings, let's say.
Yeah.
There's been many times when you can balance yourself out and you're coming from a level foundation and you can connect with your subconscious mind and you leave that autopilot conscious mind on that's always critical and judgmental and kind of takes over the brain, you can hear spirit better because your mind is in a calm, open space. So if I don't meditate, I mean, I know you do, like, I do raising my energy, raising my vibration exercises. But when I'm channeling with somebody or I'm doing a session with somebody, I always come back to this calm space, and I do it with them. They do the breathing with me, because what they actually do then is they connect themselves. They think they can't. They go, I'm not going to get anything. I'm not going to see anything. I'm not going to connect. But they do, because they go deep into, like, it's almost like a trance state, where you really, really connect with the breath, and you go still, and you can hear and you can see, you know, all the clairs come into play then, because there's an open playing field for them, you know, to communicate with you.
And that's the state that I like to get into. And it was funny because last night I did a demonstration locally here, and there were probably 9 of the, I don't like using the word students, but 9 of the people who come to my development group on a Monday night. And it's funny because you sat there, or you stood there and thinking, I've really got to practice what I preach here. And, you know, I can't go on saying that, and I know you use the word clairs, and I know I've said it a few times and we joke about it, but, you know, I can't go up there and be clair vague, and use clair vagueness as a way to deliver my mediumship. And I was sat there and I was thinking to myself, right, okay, let's try this power meditation that you keep teaching and talking about, and this is the moment. And to be fair, it didn't let me down. It was truly, truly amazing. And the evidence that came out was just, I thought, was fantastic. And, you know, a lot of that was the ability to focus my mind. And even, you know, when you're given a message, and I was giving this message to a lady in the front, and she was a lovely, lovely lady, but I just felt there was a sense of closure. And her mother said, just, you know, tell Claire not to fold her arms. And before that, I was just losing the connection. And I thought, like, do the power meditation again and just go back in, get back to your breath, ask spirit to come close, set the intention. And I did that in like that. And the woman, her mother, came back in and said, tell Claire to unfold her arms. And I said, Claire, you've got to unfold your arms. And she looked at me, she nearly fell off a seat, because, you know, it's like, how do you know my name? And I was like, well, I don't, but your mother does.
Yeah.
You know, and it was that moment to come back in, you know, it was just, it was absolutely unreal. And that mindfulness, using mindfulness within that meditation and to be able to connect and create that space, truly was amazing. So, you know, there definitely is a certain place for that. And how do you use mindfulness? We talk about mindfulness spiritually, which is important, but how would you advise people to use mindfulness in their everyday life?
Oh, there's so many different ways you can do it. You don't have to sit on a cushion for an hour. You can create a mindfulness practice with just a few breaths a day and lead up to 5 minutes or 10 minutes on wherever you can fit it in. So you can wake up in the morning and still be lying in bed and not even have moved, and just start breathing from the nose very, very consciously, only through the nose, in and out, and take it down deep to the belly. And you watch the breath. You watch it coming in through the nose. It's like having another observer there. So you sense the air and you feel the air coming in through your nose. You watch it going down the back of the throat and down into your body and into your belly. And then when you get up, you could brush your teeth mindfully. So every action that you do, when you're holding the toothbrush and then you're turning the tap on, you're listening to the water coming out of the tap. You're feeling what the tap feels like when you squeeze the toothpaste. You're looking at how it comes out. You do everything. It's almost like looking at everything in minute detail, things that you wouldn't normally look at, because actually brushing the teeth is something that we do on autopilot. You probably use the same hand all the time. You've probably got a routine. When you wake up in the morning, you do the same thing over and over and over. So it's breaking that routine and breaking that autopilot. And every time you do that, you're being mindful. Every time you return to an action, you're being mindful. You can run mindfully. You can swim mindfully. You were talking about fishing earlier. You can fish, any hobby that you've got that you really enjoy, you can do mindfully. Colouring, all sorts of things. And you can do any activity mindfully. Walking the dog. So long as you're paying attention to what's going on around you, the detail. And mindfulness is an open monitoring style as well. So you use all your senses. So your awake senses, and if you like, you use all of them. Sound, smell, touch, sight. You use everything and you pay attention to all detail.
It is beautiful. I remember, I was quite fortunate. I was sent away to do like a crash course in mindfulness-based stress reduction. It was over a week, and I did it in Alicante, which I spoke about earlier.
Very lucky.
Very lucky, yeah, very lucky. But I say crash course, I nearly crashed as well because the silence was crazy in this little Buddhist retreat up in the hills. It was mad. I'd gone from being like running a 40 million pound company to, you know, my wife upgrading the room so I had a sink, and that was it. You know, that was but it was amazing. And one of the things that we did, and I think it's commonly taught, is, you know, putting the raisin in your mouth. Yes. And actually, you know, moving the raisin around in your mouth and slowly eating the raisin, and making sure that it touches all the points and all this sort of thing, really. Yeah. And it was crazy how different eating a raisin was when I was eating mindfully. So, you know, doing those things are important, aren't they?
Oh my God, absolutely. And I've got a class on Tuesday night, actually, and I give them opal fruits because we go mix it up a little bit, give them something different, something that really gets that saliva and those taste buds going, because you really can't stop that. And it's odd, like the things that people notice when they were unwrapping it and what it smelt like, and then what it felt like in their mouth, and then what it's like when they're chewing it. It's completely different. And what we're doing is we're heightening awareness. Every time we're being mindful, we are heightening and enhancing our awareness. And we need that when we're connecting with spirit too. Our awareness needs to be on point.
Zed's from sort of Liverpool area, and he's got a very interesting sense of humor. He says he's raising your vibrations. I wouldn't expect anything less from you, Zed, and congratulations, you win the joke of the week. You win a new table. Sorry, you've already got one. So no, it is an amazing thing, mindfulness. Talk to me a little bit about your spiritual background. Tell me, you know, how did you have your first sort of spiritual feelings, and where you are with that, and how are you teaching, and where are you on your junction of your journey?
Well, we're always learning. We're always students. That's one of the things in mindfulness as well. There are pillars in mindfulness, and one of them is beginner's mind. So even in my spiritual journey, I'm still learning from everybody I meet. But where I am now is I do spiritual development classes with people. I have my own meditation class where we start with mindfulness, so we settle ourselves, and then we do something a bit more spiritual after that. And then I also do something called I read the Akashics. So I don't know if you've heard of that. Have you heard of the Akashic Library?
Yeah.
Of course you have.
Yeah.
But for your viewers, if they don't know, it's kind of like where your soul contract is held. And if you imagine a library, we use that kind of idea because it's easy to explain. But it's like going into a library, taking out your book. You can look at your past, present, and your future. So I connect with past lives. I use shamanic work as well, actually, in my work. So I connect with power animals, totem animals. I connect with, I look at your chakras and I align and heal the chakras as well. So there's a whole gamut of stuff going on when I do an Akashic reading. But what I get is what is most important and current for you now. And then I can see the karmic theme that's running in your life now, that, you know, something that you need to pay attention to. And it helps people with their purpose. Often people come to me and they've lost themselves a little, and they don't know what their purpose is in life, and they've kind of lost a bit of the joy and the motivation for life. So I help them kind of get their confidence back and their mojo.
Is there a specific, you talk about, I can never say the word, it's the files, it's the records. I can't. How can you say it? I can't
call it that. It's cool.
Yeah, just call it the files. It's funny, I can't say umbrella either. But oh yeah, sorry. But no, it's amazing. It's and I've worked with these before, and I've had people who actually, you know, are really sort of specialist. You know, in terms of looking through the records and all the rest of it. Is there a certain way you do that? Is there a certain meditation? Is there a certain opening process, or, you know, how do you start to do that sort of thing?
I've got a process that I do as rote. So I always start with the breath. The person that I'm reading for starts with the breath with me, and I guide them in, and then I take them in. It's like a mini meditation, if you like. I take them on a mini meditation to get them settled and relaxed. And then I take them to the field, the file, and then they have their own experience there while I write. But what I do first of all is, with their permission, I look at their 7 main chakras, And then I got a lot of information from just looking at those 7 main chakras. And it can be anything from health to relationships to money to whatever it brings up for me. And then I specifically ask for a past life to be brought for me that shows me what the karmic theme is in this current life. And it's always very healing, you know, accessing that past life, because people always recognize it. And what happens a lot of the time is, and this is why mindfulness is so good, you can get very specific with things. So I get lives that I've never ever heard of, and dates and names. And I'm like, well, I'm just going to give that to you. I have no idea what it is. And then when the person goes to look it up, that there's a real person in history that, you know, nobody's ever heard of. So it's an excellent way to reconnect to yourself. And then I always call in my guides and my angels, obviously, when I'm working together with somebody. And I always get an energy of somebody for them. So I work with goddesses, I work with all sorts of deities, whatever is current for them at that moment comes up.
That is, and it sounds amazing, and I'm going to book in and have a reading for myself. So if anybody wants to book on, have you got a website? And we've got plenty of time, but just whatever at this point, can you give out your
website's being launched 11th of November, which is 11/11/11. That's why I picked it.
All right, good. And what's your Facebook page? Could you give that out?
It is Soul Being. It's Soul Being. Rachel Louise John.
There we go. All right, so a shameless plug for everybody who's in the room and or is watching later on. Yeah, so get you on there. I'm really interested in that side of things and past life. I had a past life regression, which was truly amazing. What's your thought process on all of that? How many lives do we have? How many times do you come back? Why do you come back? It's quite a deep question, but I'm going to ask you.
I can't tell you how many lives we've had, but because I think we've all had thousands. There may be brand new souls. I haven't come across a brand new soul yet. But younger ones, yeah, for sure. But everybody that I've seen has had hundreds of thousands of different lives. But I just get given the most current and prominent one for them right now. What was your second question then? Sorry. So
yeah, and what's your view on it, or how do you? You know, how do you see people's soul purposes and what are we all working towards? What's the bigger picture?
Well, I think the huge picture is about love. You talk about love a lot. When people come to me, I teach them to operate from a place of love and not fear. So I think all our purposes are love. But then as light workers, we're going to have specific jobs, if you like, to do on this plane. And you can access that with the help of past lives and connecting and channeling. My purpose is as a catalyst. I've learned that through connecting to my own past lives. So I'm the catalyst in changing other people's lives. Now, before I realized that, before I connected with my past lives, I was an unwitting catalyst. And sometimes it wasn't very pleasant. So things would happen that I had no control over, but I would be somehow smack bang in the middle of it. Now I'm consciously doing it without the strife. But before, things would just happen around me. Yeah, absolutely, Teresa. Unconditional love and forgiveness. We're all here to love each other and raise our vibration so we can ascend.
I think, yeah, and it is beautiful, and things have, you know, things have changed for me. And my mantra now is, I keep saying it, and a lot of people know it, is be love and give love. Yeah. It's that being able to love yourself and then love others, and as Teresa says, you know, unconditional love and forgiveness. You know, we all make mistakes. We are only human after all, and you know, the ability to be able to have that empathy, and you know, we were talking the other day about, you know, be love and give love, and somebody said to me that, you know, they don't like the fact that they're loving themselves. It can feel a bit arrogant, and I'm not advocating, you know, we all go and have 2 tons of Botox and everything else, and you know, look something and be something we're not. What I'm saying is that, you know, it's just feeling that love for yourself and trying to treat yourself better, and have that, you know, have that pride in yourself and have that passion within yourself, and all of these words that, you know, really just reconnect yourself. I think it's hugely important for yourself every single day we go on, but also I don't think the more and more I see it and feel it and talk to people, amazing people like yourself, is that I don't think you can connect with spirit unless you're connected to yourself.
No, I don't think you can either. I mean, there's acts of radical self-love, isn't there? And I think what I've heard in the last few years especially is like we're living in a world of duality, of light and dark and good and bad and negative and positive, and there's an up and a down, and all of this. But when we are kind of relearning to love ourselves, if you like, we should be transmuting those two energies together. So the masculine and the feminine, the negative and the positive, because we can't have one without the other. We can't always be positive. We can't ignore that the things that happen that are a little out of our control or upset our lives in some way. We can't be on this like fluffy pink cloud all the time. So for me, it's about transmuting those energies together and accepting that we are good and bad. And the more that we love ourselves, the more we are able to accept that shadow side. And we don't act from that place then, if we're acting from a place of love and forgiveness and unconditional love and kindness, compassion as well.
Yeah, you're right. And it is a game. It is, and it was, and still is a game changer for me in terms of seeing the world differently. And because I don't know, I think we all, again, we are human doers and not human beings. And I think, you forget about it all, don't you? Because you're so focused on, I've got to go and do this, and I got to go to bed, and then I got to get up, and then I got to go to work, and then I've got to do this, and then I got to go to bed, and then I got to get up, and and that's, you're just into that routine, and then you get angry, and then you miss things, and I've been in a world for most of my life, rightly or wrongly, where I've been surrounded by abundance, and if I look back now on some of the things that I've done in my life. Not bad things, but even things that surrounded me, and I never appreciated it. I never really took anything in with it. It was all just because it was always there, and it's always going to be there, and that side of things for me, which has massively changed, and making the most of the little things that happen around you, or I gotta be honest with you, I couldn't even see beauty. I didn't see beauty. I didn't, I'd walk through the park, and I'd be walking through the park just to get to the other side.
Yeah.
That's what it was about. It was about, I'm going on holidays to come home.
Yeah.
It was all of those type of things, it's all a bit strange and a bit weird, I know, but, living your life mindfully and doing those things really are massive game changers, aren't they?
Yeah, we forget to look, we forget to appreciate, and we forget to be grateful. And mindfulness reconnects us to a lot of that. Like I mentioned the pillars earlier, and trust is one of the pillars. So it's about trusting yourself. That's another act of self-love, is trusting yourself. I've got so many clients that come for mindfulness that don't trust themselves anymore, that they doubt themselves all the time, and they question themselves, and they've lost their confidence. And that's a huge thing, to not trust yourself.
Do you know what? It is for me the most single popular, I'm going to call it a speed bump in spiritual and mediumship development.
Yeah,
is the lack of trust, the lack of surrender, the faith, but no belief.
Yeah.
And those things really are the things that we're consistently working on. The one word that we're always using at the moment in all of the classes that I do, in everything that I talk about, is surrender. Just surrender to the moment, surrender to spirit, surrender to the communication. Just let it all go and see what happens. And I think a lot of people will be extremely surprised at the level of communication and connection with self, communication and connection with spirit.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're on 34 minutes past, so in a minute's time we're going to go to questions. So if anybody in the room would like to ask a question, Teresa is obviously Teresa Bird, and I've said this story a few times, but Rachel, you probably not heard it, but Teresa Bird was on the same course that I was in Art of Finley, and Teresa Bird is the name of my grandmother. And spelt the same, and she's actually got family in the same area where my family come from, and we actually think that we may be related in some way or another. But she's obviously living in Australia at the moment, and I'm living in Cardiff. But she had family in South Wales as well. So it's unbelievable, in this world, how you all come together. Andrea, hello, how are you? I'm going to press the wrong button because it's moved down. Hello, Andrea. Hello, Andrea. Zed, surrender is strength, not weakness.
Yes.
What's your thought process on that?
Absolutely. And vulnerability is strength, not weakness.
Yeah, 100%. Surrender for sure, as Paul McCartney said, let it be.
Yeah, I like that.
No, it's true. And Teresa says she is younger. And I think you slightly are, but we won't go into that too much debate. Get your questions in if you've got any questions. You'd like to ask some questions. That's no problem at all. Andrea, she says she's fine, thanks. Brilliant. So the interactivity's come in now. I have a question for you. What is the single biggest obstacle to people becoming mindful?
There's a few. There's quite a few. I think judgment.
Top three?
Judgment is a huge one.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because judgment is a very, very difficult one to let go of. And if you think about, we make judgments every day, but we might not recognize that we do. Because even when we're making decisions what we're going to wear in the morning, we make a judgment about whether we like that outfit or that outfit, and then we choose one. Then we go and do that throughout the rest of our day as well. So a critical mind is a judging mind. And I think judgment is a really, really strong one, because if you are judging people constantly, you're not exhibiting much compassion or empathy. And compassion is one of the foundations of being mindful. So judgment can stop you from being compassionate.
And the interesting thing as well, when I was listening to John Kabat-Zinn talking about ourselves and the things that go on, and he said another cracking line, which was, thousands of things have happened in my life, and some of them actually have. And I thought that was amazing, because we all think these things, don't we? We think the worst. Oh my God, I can't go there because that's going to happen, or I can't do this because of that, or whatever the scenario is. And we run these things through thousands of things in our minds, but actually some of them do. And how do you feel about, how would you unlock somebody who's got, lots of things going on with anxiety and depression and things like that? How would you go about unlocking somebody like that and getting them to becoming more mindful?
The very, very first process is to get them to breathe, because people don't breathe properly. They don't use that deep, deep breath that comes down to the belly. They don't activate the parasympathetic nervous system. So they're in a constant state of fight or flight, which is stressful. Stress hormones running through their bodies, and they don't realize it because they've got a base level of stress now that's so high, they think it's normal. So the first thing I get them to do is connect with their breath. So they move into what you call then the rest and digest. And that calms the body and it moves you away from fight or flight. And then physiologically, your body's in a different place. Your heart rate slows down. Your brain goes, oh, my heart's slowing down, so I must be in a good place. No need to run away, no need to fight, no need to do anything stressful. Oh, okay then. So the brain calms down and the heart goes slower. And then it's a circle of goodness going around then. So yeah, the first thing is to connect to their breath. And then we do exercises called habit breakers. Move you away from automatic behavior, living more consciously. The moment you start to live more consciously is the moment you start to notice the things that are negative and don't give your life anything that are not productive or positive things for you. And they start to notice things slowly.
Sounds wonderful. Anne-Marie, and it's interesting because you never know who's in the room and you never know what states people are in. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to ask that question. Anne-Marie says, is it true we work with our base chakra to help with our past life regression? Is that right?
I'm going to be totally honest, I haven't heard that you have to use with your base chakra.
Okay.
Because I will work holistically with the whole person and all of the chakras. So there will be blocks in different areas depending on what life is affecting. But the base chakra is all about your survival. So if it's something threatening your survival in a past life, yeah, absolutely work with the base chakra. But it might not necessarily be affecting that part of you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Teresa Bird says diet helps too. Some foods are not helpful. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, yeah. Some foods can stress your body completely. I do a little snippet in my classes about raise vibration, and about the vibration of different foods and essential oils, and a chap called Dr. Earl Raymond Rife, that he created this thing called a frequency generator, that actually he identified the vibrations that could kill certain diseases, and he used vibration to do that, and foods can do that for us as well. They can keep us healthy or they can kill us.
No, and I think, some people suffer from, food intolerances and things like that. It seems to be more and more prevalent today than I've ever saw. And I own a restaurant, and the amount of people who come in who are lactose free or gluten free or a celiac, or, there's so many things now where people have intolerances to food. And funny, and I'm talking, and as I say that, Teresa says, I found giving up wheat and meat helpful. So,
Yeah.
There's a lot of things in there for individual people, but she also talks about alkaline foods. Is that something that you talk about, alkaline foods?
I do actually, and I did give up meat as well. The more I meditated, the less I wanted to eat meat. I found it just naturally kind of fell away. I'd already identified I had an intolerance to lactose, so that had gone out the window. But yeah, different foods, I think they can affect you in different ways. But I have this ongoing conversation with a friend of mine where I look at old mediums of old, and even people that I went to see when I was younger, and be like, well, they smoke and drank like a fish, but they could connect really well. So I don't think it matters sometimes how well you connect. Sometimes you just got it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think you look back at people like Doris Stokes, etc., and I don't, in the politest potential way, I don't think she really thought about what she ate.
Yeah, no.
And she was one of the pioneers in modern day spiritualism. I think, for me as well, when we talk about past life regression, we talk about mediumship, we talk about the clairs. There is for me a definite link to mindfulness, and I think mindfulness will play a larger part. And I spoke about this earlier with the amount of, and I know I without the sound of repeating myself, but the amount of people who are coming to me and saying, I'm a healer, I do Reiki, I do spiritual meditate, I do this, I do that. I'm now getting mediumship, I'm getting mediumistic thoughts and messages and all of these things. It is about that space, isn't it? I think it's because even when we're doing Reiki or whatever it is, you are in that meditative state because you're focusing on something, as you said earlier. You're focusing on you're creative on a point of focus. Is that something that you found? Even when you're, because I know you've been to a lot of meditations in the Tibetan monastery there and with the Buddhist society. Do they do certain things as well? Is there anything they do that when they have, because obviously they've had, a lot of spiritual awakening through meditation. How do they get around that when those things happen?
When you're talking about Buddhists, you mean?
Yeah. Do they? Yeah.
Well, unless they're in we talked about the cities earlier, didn't we? And about there's a particular lineage that will study meditation just to become enhance psychic abilities, and it's about opening your inner eye and opening the third eye, and it's all about that. It's about inner sight and the Holy Spirit bringing that gift to you by meditating. But in the lineage that I come from, with mindfulness, you just stick to the support. So what I tend to do is about intention. I think we talked about that when we were chatting today. When I am mindful, I am just being mindful. Then when I want to connect, I make the intention to connect, and I meditate in a completely different way. So mindfulness is like a tool to keep my brain disciplined and level. And then I connect with the breath So it's almost like a short mindfulness, if you like, but I make an intention to do something completely different.
It's I'm using it all the time, and if anyone's out there, I would highly recommend that you think about using mindfulness specifically in your power meditation, if you want, when you're trying to connect with spirit. Andrea says, what's the best thing for balancing the solar plexus chakra, please? Is that something you can help with?
Well, you can use seed sounds or bija sounds, and there's a different sound, so chanting for each different chakra, and then when you're connecting with the solar, there are specific meditations that you can use. You connect with the color also, so some really simple things like wearing the color, visualizing the color, taking up that light into your body from source and having it connect in the solar and expanding it, intentionally expanding it with love. There's so many simple things you can do. For bija sound, I would highly recommend chanting with the bija sound, the seed sound.
And how does that go?
Well, I'd have to go back and check. But there's ham, vam, lam, ram, om for the crown and om for the third eye.
Yeah.
And you repeat over and over and over. And
Teresa's saying that yellow is the color. I think Andrea's saying
right,
yellow. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Well, look, Teresa's also, she's very active on the show tonight. Teresa, well done, congratulations. you win pupil of the week. Congratulations. Teresa says, letting the universe go in work to work through you when healing, then the messages come true. And that's right as well. It is so true. It is so true.
That's what you just said about the Reiki healers and such as that. I've actually got a client now who's been coming to meditation and mindfulness, and she's been doing Reiki for a while, but now suddenly she's getting channeling and messages and visions and stuff, and she was like, what's happened? It's actually happening.
Yeah, it is truly unbelievable. Rachel, I told you we would go quickly. It's gone quicker than what we probably think. We're on 47 minutes now, so I've overrun by 2 minutes for my my guided meditation. Joanne, hello, Joanne. This is a lovely lady. It's Ram for the solar plexus. There we go. Ram. There we are. So you must have a very strong solar plexus. I'm a Pisces, and I don't know where I am, so I just go with the flow, really. For me, it's been amazing. It's been fantastic. There's so many good things to take away. Thank you for just opening up and surrendering to that's the spirit, and
thank
surrendering
you for having
to
me.
Yeah, well, it's a pleasure, and we're going to get you back on. Thank you so much, and it has been great. We're going to pop you back down into the lobby section now, and we'll get you on a little bit later on. But it really has been amazing, and we're going to pop this into I'll take the interview and pop it into a podcast, because I think a lot of people will want to listen to this. It's been fantastic, and thank you very, very much for your time, and we'll see you a little bit later on.
Thank you, Julian. Bye, everyone.
Cheers, Rachel. See you in a minute. Thank you. Wow. I keep searching for these people, but I keep finding them, and they've just been unbelievable. And I think there's so many people already saying thanks. Thank you for the time. Thank you for your wisdom. Thank you for everything, because it is so special, and mindfulness can play a huge part in people's lives, and making you feel better. But also, we're going to touch upon it in terms of how it actually changes you from a physical standpoint, and how it rewires you and your brain and everything else. So, which is massively invaluable to all of us. It's that time now, and I'm gonna we're a little bit behind, but we'll be fine. It's now the guided meditation. Okay, so this is the part of the show, if you like, where we spend a little bit of time with spirit, where we spend a little bit of time with ourselves, and where we just spend a little bit of time being, which is what the subject has been about this evening, being right here, right now. So tonight's guided meditation is going to be all about the beach. Okay, so we're going to do a beach meditation this evening. So what I'd like you to do, and as always, for legal reasons, I must say that if you are driving a car, or if you're working on a forklift truck this evening, stop what you're doing, and if you want to sit and listen to the meditation, that would be grand. But don't do anything that requires your full concentration. That's the legals out the way. Basically, sit down, relax. Take that breath. Feel. Oh, I love it. It's just wonderful, isn't it? It's just that wonderful, wonderful feeling of when you just breathe in. Just breathing is wonderful. I'm going to pop my meditation slide up now, okay? And so you don't have to look at me while you're meditating, because I could be off-putting. Never mind. So here we go. So I'd like you to sit comfortably in your chair now, if you can. And I'd want you just to sort of, if you want to click your neck and wiggle your fingers and just, just reassess yourself to make sure that you are now in a position where you are as comfortable as you can be. And with that now, I'd just like you to sit back in your chair, or if you're laying down, just take that deep breath in. And as we breathe in, I just want us to hold it for 2 seconds. And as we breathe out, we feel all the stresses and strains of today just slipping away. We breathe in. We hold it. And we breathe out. We found our own natural breathing rhythm. And as we do so, we also find that space, that part of our jumper or our nose, that we can feel move, and we feel our breath, we feel connected. We breathe in and we breathe out. And every time we breathe out, we feel more and more relaxed, more and more comfortable, more and more as if we are in a state of relaxation, comfort, and spiritual connection. I'd like to see us in our mind's eye, with myself stood next to you. And we're looking down a pathway that leads to one of the most beautiful, idyllic beaches you have ever seen. And as we look around us, we take in the sense of the beauty that surrounds us, the energy that is filling our lungs, that is glowing all around us, filling us with spiritual connection as we feel our soul self and our heart center connecting. And we start to walk along this beautiful pathway. And as we walk along the path, we turn to our right. And there is a beautiful long beach. The sea to the left, the waves are lapping up against the shore. You can feel the sand between your toes, the sunlight on your face, and the beautiful spiritual energy that surrounds you. And as we walk along the beach, just ahead of us, we see a beautiful seat with a wonderful little campfire. And as we walk up to this beautiful seat, we look around again. We sense spirit. We know they're close. We feel totally connected. We feel love. Our energy is giving out love. And we have totally surrendered to spirit. And as we walk up to the chair, we feel so relaxed, so comfortable, so at ease. It's a feeling of complete and utter bliss. I'd like us to sit on the chair. I'd like us to focus on our breath. We breathe in. We breathe out. We breathe in. And we breathe out. And as you sit here now, you know that you're blessed, that you are in a beautiful sacred space. You are in a place of pure beauty, of pure love, of pure light, of pure energy. I would like you now to send your thoughts out to your guides, your inspirers, your helpers, and your loved ones, and just ask them to come close for a fleeting moment, to spend some time with you in this very spiritual place. I'm going to leave you now for a little while. I'll be back soon. Please enjoy. We are aware of the higher vibrations. We are aware that the Spirit has come close. We have been truly blessed. We are humble and thankful for the fleeting moments that we have spent in this wonderful spiritual place. I ask you now to follow me back. As you stand up in your chair, you look around yourself and you see the wonder and beauty, and we walk away, and as we do so, you blow a kiss, say thank you, and you say, to the next time, my dear friends. As we walk along the pathway through the gate to where we started, and I want you to slowly wiggle your fingers, move yourself, and come back into the room, and come back onto the seat. Thank you. Well, I hope you enjoyed that, and you managed to follow my voice and follow me to a sacred space. I feel as if we all could do with being on a beach on times and feeling that warmth and the sunshine and the love and the energy from Spirit, which is truly amazing. If you'd like to pop in the comment section, if you saw anything or felt anything, what you felt and what you saw, did you enjoy it? Where did you go? Who did you see? I'm going to, if possible, ask Rachel to come back on now and have a conversation. Rachel, you will be live in approximately 2 minutes. Here we go. Rachel, how are you? You are back.
I'm good, thank you. Hello.
Hi, did you follow any of that meditation?
I did follow it, yes. Lovely.
Did you enjoy it? Good. Good.
I love meditating anyway, so.
I always joke because obviously, when I do circle and I do a guided meditation and I close my eyes, I always think that one day I'm going to open and everyone's just going to be looking at me going, didn't go anywhere. But fortunately, they don't. They don't. And it's even worse online because I don't know whether you've all left me and gone for a cup of tea or something. I don't know, because I can't see any of you. But the great thing is when I get the comments and I then see that Layla said, I had a lady called Grace. She passed from cancer. She's in her late 50s, early 60s, giving me the name of Naomi, talking about someone being frustrated with cooking and the cooker. She is laughing and said it's time for a new one. I don't know whether anyone can understand that, which is, you don't know anyone called Grace, Rachel, do you?
No, I don't. She sounds quite feisty, though.
She sounds feisty. Do you need a new cooker, though? That could be the key to this.
No, I don't.
Okay. real star in the making, I can tell you that for nothing. Teresa Bird, she said, I saw tall beings of light and it all merged, which is unbelievable. Zed said, wow, a man in a turban showed me 3 stones and how the top one could not balance without the support of the bottom 2. What a great piece of philosophy. Yeah, yes. That's amazing, Zed. And I hope that was done on your new table, my friend, because we would have christened it this evening. Cecilia Graham Mallet says, I'm watching. Brilliant. Thank you, Cecilia. Nice to see you. Teresa said we all want to go somewhere. Yes, we do. We all want to go where you are, Teresa. You're in one of the most beautiful parts in the world. Yeah, you know, it's unbelievable. Look, I want to again take the opportunity to thank you for coming on. Please become a friend of That's the Spirit and Light and Harmony and everything else. And I'm pretty sure that with you only living less than a stone's throw away from me, that we can meet up and have a cup of coffee. And,
absolutely.
And you can teach me how to say the word Akashic records. I can't remember what it is. Okay,
I will come to Pariad and teach you.
Come and teach me. Yeah, come to the bar. You can have some free food. All right, that's no worries at all. Rachel, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for your time today. It's been wonderful seeing you. And take care and look after yourself, my love. You are a true shining light.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to, we did a card reading, but I'm going to choose a card of the week. Okay. So I'm just going to do a shuffle and see whether this card is representative to us. Okay. Here we go. The card of the week. Can we have a drum roll, please? Is a hidden gift. Okay. If you can read that. Okay, it is the hidden gift. I want to say that we've all got a hidden gift, but there's a lot of stuff going on around us at the moment, and it tells me, this card, that I think we're going through an energy change. I think there's an ending, and I think that there's a new beginning for all of us, because I truly believe that the energy and the vibrations are changing, and those changing are going to bring a new dawn into spiritualism and spirituality, because I think more and more quality people with the right values, with the right vision, with the right beliefs and the biggest faith are going to start to grab this beautiful movement of spirituality and spiritualism, crying and kicking in some instances, into the 2019, because that's got to be the year that we really start to make this work. Okay, there's so many bright lights out there, and you all know my feelings about this now. I really want to make a difference and facilitate a catalyst for change, and that change is going to come from us all coming together in a community. Now, that leads me to the next part, and the final part is tomorrow I will be launching the Light and Harmony community, which will be our own spiritual Facebook, whereby we can all come together, we can write blogs, we can comment, we can like, we can share, we can go on forums, we can ask questions, we can jump in chat rooms together. And we can all use the space as best we can to develop ourselves, but also in the bigger picture and the wider world, lift the vibrations that surround us through spiritualism. So if you want to go and have a look at the site, www.lightandharmony.co.uk. From there, you will see join the community. Have a look at that, have a read of it. And if you want to pop across and join the community, that would be amazing. So thank you all once again for your time this evening. The support never ceases to amaze me. Teresa, congratulations. You have won the Pupil of the Week, and that means you win a free drink in my bar. So if you would like to get a flight for 23 hours to get your free drink, you'll be more than welcome to do so. It's a pleasure to see you, my love. Thank you very much. Cecilia says that would be beautiful. So she's enjoyed the show. Anne-Marie says thank you. So thank you to everybody. And because Rachel Louise John is a fellow Welsh lady like me, I think it's the best way to end the show this evening would be a bit of Welsh, which is Nostar Cariad, which means good night, my love. Thank you very much, guys. It's been a pleasure. See you next week, and be love and give love. Thank you.